Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the update preview stream. This is Bugs here. I'm joined today by Artemis and Miss D. Say hi, guys.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
So, what do we have going on today? Well, it is a week since the last update. And with that, there's a bunch of fixes and forward progress the team is working on. Before we get into all that, as we always do, real quick, what's going on with server wipes today for Rustafied servers? It is the weekly Thursday wipe servers wiping today at their regular scheduled time, which is 3 p.m. local time for the region. That means SEA and AU main wiped like 11, 12 hours ago. And then we had EU main and EUS and EU small and barren wiped 3 hours ago. And then in 2 hours from now, we have the US servers, US main, small, barren, and Zen Labs will be map wiping at 3 p.m. EST time. And that's what's going on with server wipes, map wipes only today, as we are not on a first Thursday or anything like that. And as always, if you want a lowdown on what the server maps are going to be and more information about the servers and wipe times and connect info, I do encourage you to head over to our Discord, rustified.com/Discord. And we've got map voting in there. You can see the maps before the servers wipe, and you can get support and report players and all that good stuff in there. Now, as always, if you have questions as we're going through this stuff, feel free to do Miss D underscore that's me in chat. If you missed a couple weeks and you're like, who's this Miss D person? What happened to Shadow? Well, Miss D is Shadow. She just transitioned over to Miss D. So Miss D underscore that's me in chat for any questions you may have, and let us get into it. First and foremost, we've got RF streamer mode. After the launch of radio frequency C4 last week, a lot of streamers quickly realized that the megahertz, the frequency set in the hotbar for your RF transmitter, wasn't being blocked by streamer mode. And so that's a clear issue if a streamer is broadcasting what RF frequency that their C4 is set to, that could cause some real problems in the server. So RF streamer mode now does account for the RF transmitter and will show XXX megahertz instead of the actual frequency set. That is not live in the game yet, but will be coming with the next update, which, what is that, April?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be April 6th. And we do have a 5 Thursday month this month. So that does mean that on the last week, the weekly and bi-weekly servers will wipe again. And then the bi-weeklies will just have a 1 week wipe at the end of the month. But we'll get into that as we're closer to that. But I do think a lot of this stuff is going to be coming in the April update. Next on the list, we do have more map markers being worked on. Now, this is a new branch actually called More Map Markers. And on this branch, it looks like they are setting up the ability for players and teams to add more markers on the map, even label them with text, and then actually share them amongst the team. It also looks like this is all going to be tied into the compass. And so if you have some markers from your team on the map, you'll be able to see on the compass when you're pointing in the right direction, like what those are. There's also a pinging feature, it looks like, and that looks like it's going to be activated by default with the middle mouse button. And I feel like maybe that's going to be some sort of, while you're looking somewhere in the distance, you can ping and it'll show up as a diamond on your teammates' maps as well. So you could be like, hey, these guys over here type of thing. Not really sure. This is all still on a separate branch. And so we're really just working off of what the commits look like. But regardless, it does look like there's a bunch of new functionality and more robust features coming to the in game maps. So we're going to keep a close eye on that more map markers branch and thinking that will probably get merged in the next week or two, and then we can play with it in actuality and show it off. As with most first update preview posts after the first Thursday updates, there's not a whole lot to show off today in game, as Majority of this stuff is still on separate branches or slight little tweaks. So not a whole huge ton to show off in staging, but nevertheless, we'll still go through. And if you have any questions, once again, Miss D, that's me in chat. Point your questions there, and we'll get to as many as we have the opportunity to. Next on the list, we do have some industrial fixes coming down the pike. This is in the wake of a couple other industrial fixes and the new filters and stuff that we saw go live next or last week. Now they're just fixing some other fringe cases and stuff. Some of it's a little, verbose in the language and doesn't immediately make sense, but we'll run through it and try to make sense of it. So they fixed conveyors set to end mode incorrectly starting a transfer if there were multiple stacks of the same filtered item in an input container. Yeah, small use case, but fixed up. They disabled the daisy chaining restrictions, and daisy chain containers will now always receive their appropriate split regardless of the state of the container before they were in a chain. If hopefully that makes sense. This stuff is really like it's dense today. The industrial fixes are kind of dense. Less dense, they fix the tactical gloves and diving gear not appearing on the industrial filter. That's easy. Also, the industrial conveyor will now attempt to fill any existing stacks in an output container before making a new stack. And then my personal favorite, which is the easiest to understand of the mix, the output division is now applied before min-max buffer amounts are calculated, meaning the split amount is based on the maximum amount that can be moved and is then clamped by the max, prevents max filters incorrectly, slowing down transfer rates. Jesus God. What the fuck? Well, these guys are game developers. They're not English professors, right? So and I think that does what I think that means with the daisy chaining is like it's now going to look at all the boxes in the mix, not just the ones that were daisy. I'm not really sure, honestly. They're fixing shit with industrial. Like my brain can't even wrap my head around what the fuck they're talking about. But they're fixing stuff with industrial filters. And if this makes perfect sense to you, then I severely applaud you and maybe you should be doing my job. But anyway, there's also a double saddle being worked on. Now, this is a little easier to understand. It's going to be two people on a horse,
About fucking time.
Yep.
right? And
Yeah.
yeah, we had fun setting up the dummy picture. It's not in the game yet, but on the article, I did want to show two people on a horse with a silhouette, and I think we got it pretty good. Even though that's just purely us messing around with no clip. It's not actually in the game yet, but it is on a separate branch and will be coming in soon. The double saddle branch. Not sure exactly how this is going to be implemented in the game, but probably just going to be like you pick it up like a normal saddle. It's just going to be a double saddle and then two people can fit on it. Will it have more storage? Maybe. We will see. But we're keeping an eye on that. That looks like some good progress is being made and moving forward with regards to that double saddle. So I do think we're going to see that enter the staging branch in the next week or so. And we'll keep you posted on that one as it enters the game. Also, we have attack helicopter progress. Now, this is, of course, the newest adversarial vehicle coming into the game. If you haven't been tracking, basically to catch you up, it's going to be basically the big brother to the minicopter. Instead of minicopter wheels, it's going to have skis. So it's going to be more for snowy areas if you're looking to get around on the ground. But it's a helicopter. Why would you care about the ground? You're going to be flying the thing. And when you're flying the thing, it will have some weapons. It looks like it's going to have a mounted gun and maybe rocket launcher, or maybe just one or the other. It's still on a separate branch and we're just going off commits. So nothing's really finalized yet, but it looks like there's going to be one driver, one pilot, so to speak. And then there'll be the gunner, and the gunner will have access to a cam, like a gunner camera. And then they'll be able to, sitting in the seat, control that camera and control where and how the attack helicopter is firing. So that's going to be an interesting one. No real details on this yet, as it is on a separate branch, and the devs haven't really released anything specific on this other than what we're just working off in the commits. But some good progress being made on this. It does look like this is something that will likely make it into the game this month, I'm thinking. Just given the amount of time we've already seen worked on it and the commits we're seeing, it looks like it's getting closer to be ready to go into the game. I could be wrong, but I do give it if I were a betting man, I would say this will likely be making it in for this month. So we'll keep you posted as that gets merged into staging. Now, also, there's a whole slew of other stuff being worked on. There's more work on the weapon racks. Those, if you recall, were a Hack Week project that now looks like it will be making its way into the actual game. There may be a couple sizes of weapon racks. Originally, there was a small, medium, and large, although I haven't seen any, comments in the commits about sizes recently. So it might just be one size from the get go. But the cool thing about these weapon racks is you're going to be able to toss weapons at them and it'll automatically just mount on the rack. And when you want to get a weapon off the rack, you'll just point at the weapon. It'll actually have a visual display for each weapon on the rack. And then the idea is you'll just be able to point and grab instead of having to go through some UI thing and everything like that. So could be a new cool utility for quickly grabbing and dropping off stuff, but also should be pretty cool to be able to display your weapons around bases and stuff like that as well. So keeping a close eye on weapon racks, still on a separate branch though, so we'll keep you posted. That is one I also think probably will make it in this month, but we will see. There's also some more work on the newest upcoming monument, the nuclear missile silo. This one I don't think necessarily is going to make it in this month. These monuments are built from scratch, from the ground up, and they take a while because it's just a lot of work, quite frankly, to get all that stuff together and built and then implemented into procedural map generation and all that good stuff. So we're seeing more work on the nuclear missile silo, but not sure when we're going to see that actually enter the game. We do think that's going to be a large underground monument. There's been some talk and some commits around procedural dungeons and procedural underground areas, and thinking maybe that will be tied in with the nuclear missile silo, maybe, but we'll keep you posted on that, all on a separate branch. And really, still such a work in progress, not expecting that to be merged into staging anytime in the next couple of weeks. But I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong on that, but we'll keep you posted regardless. Also, we got more work on the ferry terminal. And this, I believe, is related to that whole Nexus body of work, that server to server transfer and the whole clan system. If you remember, that's going to be the functionality where a group can be on one server that's kind of cloud linked with blueprints and wipe times with another server. And then on the one server, a group can hop on a boat, go out to this terminal, and then actually transfer to the other server without exiting the game, without like actually clicking on another server. And beyond that, their boat, their loot, all the stuff they're holding will transfer to that server as well. So the idea is like you could actually go to raid someone on a different server and then bring all that stuff back to your home server. When this goes live, it is just going to be on a couple Face Punch official servers to start, and it is going to be a delicate one to maintain balance and everything like that. But keep in mind they have said that when a server is or two servers or three servers are linked together like this, they will share blueprints, they will share map wipe schedules. So you're not going to have an instance where like a server just wiped and everyone's still naked on the beach, and then all of a sudden from a ferry terminal you got a whole bunch of geared guys, rolling up because they came from a different server that wiped at a different time. So keeping a close eye on this. This has been like well over a year in process, this Nexus body of work, the server to server transfer. Once again, still going to likely, when it does go live on just some Facepunch official servers to start. But we'll keep you posted, and we are going to play when the time is right. We'll play with linking a couple of our servers, like maybe Medium 1 and Medium 2, or Long 1 and Long 2, and play with it here at Rustafied when the time is right. Now, also, computer stations now have UI scaling working. UI scaling was not working for specifically the computer station UI. And now with everyone using more with the drones and the radio frequency this and the manual turret that, more people on the computer stations, and it came about that the scaling wasn't working right. So that scaling will be working right come the next update. Also, drones can now be repaired at a repair bench. There's a new command for auth radius being worked on, and that looks like that's going to allow server owners maybe to change the radius of which auth is actually um, active, so we'll keep an eye on that. Still separate branch. Also, Easter is next month. So some initial work on Easter we saw. And Easter, I believe, is April 9th. So we're probably going to see the in-game Easter event go live, potentially just with the forced wipe and update next what is it, 4 weeks from today now? Yeah, next April 6th. Also, some other things. Staging server browser will get the change set outputted if the client version doesn't match. So not really going to impact many players or whatever. But if you plan staging and stuff, it's just going to be an easier way for devs and people testing to see if the server is in line with your client version or not. They fixed the mace skinned as a baseball bat displaying an incorrect price to research at the research table. So that's been fixed. They're adding more gameplay metrics. This is some cool stuff. It's the like Rust metrics stuff. They're doing the aggregate entity count and BP count for servers and also saving player positions every 1 minute. So basically, just collecting more and more metrics about what people are doing in game. And from there, hopefully, the devs can make more informed decisions about balance and what things should be added to the game and things should be removed because no one's using them, things like that. So it's cool to see these gameplay metrics get built out more. Also, they're adding, or they did add, a safe mode config thing for when you're loading up, and if you happen to screw up your client config file and it for whatever reason is causing the game to not work or to crash, there's now this safe mode.apply safe mode config convar that you can run, and when that runs it'll overwrite the player's client config with a known safe version of the client config. Also, there's additional checks now to make sure SAM sites have a floor beneath them. There's initial work on transparent screenshots. We played with this yesterday. It's a very work in progress. We took like a screenshot of me just floating behind or in front of the sky, and the sky was kind of transparent in like a PNG, but it was very rough and very blurry and very odd. So I think there could be some cool potential for content creators in the future with this transparent screenshot thing, but at the moment, very much a work in progress. And then finally, there is now the ability for the devs to unlock all the skins. So if devs want to in game or need to test out a skin or something like that, people are complaining about a certain skin, they don't have to actually go to Steam and buy it. They can just unlock the skin on their dev account and then play with it, which makes sense. And that about does it for everything going on in Rust development for this week. Uh, Miss D, we got any questions from the audience?
Oh, damn. No shadow this time,
Oh yeah, I caught
huh?
myself.
So yeah, first I want to say thank you to Scarbeck for a gifted sub to Moobud, and Temple Taps gave me a sub as well. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's sweet, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. When is web and is it a force wipe and blueprint wipe today?
So WIP is at regular scheduled time for each server. There's no forced wipe. There's no update today. There's no blueprint wipe scheduled today. We are 1 week from the forced wipe and update last Thursday. And so that means that our Thursday weekly wipe servers are wiping today. Those wipe at regular scheduled time, which is 3 p.m. local time for the region, which means most of our servers have already wiped, with the exception of US servers, which will wipe in about an hour and 42 minutes, give or take, at 3 p.m. EST. AU SEA mains wiped like 11, 12 hours ago. EU main, small, Baron, EUS, and Zen Labs all wiped, what was that, 3 hours and 20 minutes ago. And once again, US stuff will wipe in about an hour and 40 minutes.
So I just saw a few people asking, where is Shadow?
Yeah, so Shadow is still here. If you hear the voice, she's still with us, but she goes by Miss D now. She transitioned to Miss D. So if you still have questions, feel free to do Miss D underscore that's me in chat. And it's still good old Shadow. She's just going by a different
Yes.
name now.
Yes, yes, yes. Way easier.
Is it?
Yes, it is for me.
Is
Maybe not
it?
for you because you're so used to calling me
Yeah.
Shadow. But yeah, no, definitely the same person. Let's see, next question. Uh, 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 um. Okay, so a new person is asking, I assume that he's new since this question. I was killed on Rustafied EU main when I was building my base. Is that not allowed?
Oh, buddy. Um,
Yeah.
oh, buddy. Yeah, man, that's just Rust. That's part of the game, and that is allowed. I might recommend check out, look for PvE servers, player versus environment. And in those servers, when a server has that set, then you can just kind of gather and build, and other players won't harm you. But in Rust, default vanilla, which is what our servers are, yeah, you're gonna have to protect yourself from getting killed while building a base.
That's
Yeah.
it. Rust is not like most of the other open world survival games, is it? It's very much PvP orientated, and
Yes.
nobody's particularly wants to kind of give you a bit of space to learn. So yeah, there's tips if you're new.
Yeah. So check out
Um,
a PvE or build server if you just want to learn how to build. That's a good way to get started.
yes, for sure. Are you able to kick the second rider off if need be?
We don't know yet. Given it's still the dual or double saddle is still on a separate branch and still in development. Not sure of the specific abilities, if you'll be able to kick someone off, if uh, it's going to cost drastically more, if you're going to have more storage, if the horse is going to go slower. I can think of a whole bunch of different potential scenarios, but as it stands now, it's all up in the unknown category because it's still a work in progress and still not merged in. But hopefully, in the next week or two, this double saddle thing will be merged in, and then we can test all those different little scenarios.
Will any of the industrial fixes come out as a hot fix instead of next month's update?
Doesn't look like it. I think they're mostly just going to come out with the update next month. That's based on what we're seeing. I could be wrong. Occasionally, they'll put out a mid month hot fix for things, but based on what I'm seeing with the RF streamer mode and the industrial fixes and stuff, I think that's all going to wait until the April update, April 6th.
Do we have any news on the new cargo?
No, I don't.
No.
It's just simple no, no.
Okay. Is there any news about parachutes?
No, there hasn't been much on parachutes. You know, we saw parachutes first get mentioned in like 2018, and there was a parachute branch in 2018, and then for years nothing happened. And then in 2022, we saw the parachute branch make a return, and we saw some commits around it, like the ability to steer your parachute and where you're going while you're dropping, and also the ability to shoot a weapon while you're dropping, but you can't do both at the same time. So you can either steer or shoot, but not both. And then also the ability to repack your parachute. So it looks like the parachutes, when they make it in, will be redeployable and reusable, which makes sense. But that was all end of 2022, and then we really haven't seen anything in the past, several weeks about parachutes, at least that I've seen. So is it in concept limbo? I think maybe. I think it might have been dusted off out of concept limbo for a hot second in 2022 and then put right back in there. But we'll keep you posted as we see more.
When is there going to be new drops on Twitch?
That's a good question. I'm not aware of any new drops being announced, but the devs did say they're going for a roughly bi-monthly release schedule, so every other month. And given that, I think the last drops were the Trust and Rust ones. So I imagine we're going to see some drops probably next month, but really not sure. I haven't heard anything specifically about it. And I think they set up to go on a roughly every other month schedule, but they've never been. That's not a set schedule. Let's just put it that way. That's like kind of a general guideline, and then it varies. So we'll keep you posted as we see more on the Twitch drops, but haven't heard any news about that recently.
There's not really many questions left or at all, so we can do a recap, and if anyone else have questions, do Misty underscore that's me, and we take some more after Bucks have done a recap.
Yeah, that sounds good. And yeah, it's the week after Force Wipe, and so generally speaking, there's not a whole ton to show off on staging, and not necessarily a whole ton to go through here. So we might just cut this one a little early, and that's okay. But if you do have questions, let us know. In the meantime, a little recapity cap here. We are 1 week since the update, and so the team is working on fixes and forward progress. One thing we saw is having streamer mode account for the RF transmitters. After radio frequency C4 went live last week, streamers did quickly realize when they set a frequency on their RF transmitter, it shows up in their hotbar, even on streamer mode. That's been resolved, and so streamer mode will now, after the next update, show just XXX megahertz instead of the actual frequency set. There's also more map markers being worked on. This is a pretty cool new branch that is in process this week. And from the looks of it, will allow players to add a bunch more map markers to their in-game map, label them with text, and share them with their team. It also looks like there's going to be a pinging functionality where you can like center mouse click and it will kind of diamond ping on the in-game map for your team members. So no visuals on this yet. We're just working purely off of the commits and the language used in commits, but I do think this functionality is moving forward pretty quickly and probably will make it in sometime this month. So we'll keep you posted as we see more on that. Also, there's some more industrial fixes coming in. I'm not even gonna do it. They fixed a couple things. Read on. We copied what the devs wrote, and you can see on Rustafied.com. Every Thursday, we do have a post on Rustafied.com that summarizes all the stuff going on in development in text and pictures. And this week is no different. And the second thing down is industrial fixes, but they fixed a lot of shit that is hard to understand. It's like buffer amounts with like daisy chaining and containers. What you need to know, I think, and this is where I'm just finding peace with the situation, is I don't need to know every single nitty gritty thing about how the industrial system calculates the min max buffer filters on a daisy chain number of boxes. I just need to know that the devs are working hard to have it work as you would expect it to work. And that's what they're doing. We're seeing a couple fixes with industrial to just make shit work the way you would think it should work. And for the details, once again, rustified.com. Read them to your heart's content. Also, we got double saddles being worked on. This is coming in. You will soon be able to have two people on one horse, and the double saddle is still on a separate branch, so not seeing it, and we don't know, given it's on a separate branch, we don't know the specifics of like, will there be more storage, how much is it going to cost, is it going to slow the horse down, or probably have the stamina go down quicker. There's some logical things you can think about here, but really we're not going to be able to test until it gets onto staging, which probably will be in the next couple weeks. And so we'll keep you posted as those double saddles make their way in. Also, we got more progress on the attack helicopter. This is the newest adversarial vehicle coming into the game. It's like a big brother to the minicopter. Instead of wheels, it's going to have skis. And more importantly, instead of shooting fucking nothing, it's going to have weapons, man. It's going to have the pilot can do what the pilot does. And then there's going to be a seat for the gunner. The gunner will have a camera. And then with that camera, they'll be able to, it looks like point around a gimbaled gun and maybe even fire rockets as well. So that's going to be the attack helicopter. No details on price and durability and obtaining it and all that stuff, but still on a separate branch. When it gets merged into staging, though, we're going to have everything you need to know about the attack helicopter and show it off here and on rustified.com. So stay tuned. I think the attack helicopter is coming in the next couple weeks, given the velocity of commits and how much we've already seen on it. I do think we're going to see that attack helicopter come in sometime in the near future. And so we will keep you posted as always. And then there's a bunch of other stuff in the works. There's more work on weapon racks. And those, if you're not aware, will be a cool deployable base thing where you can actually see the weapons on the rack. you can drop a weapon near it and the rack will suck it up. And then when you want to grab a weapon, you'll just point and look at the weapon you want and then click and be able to pull it off the rack without going into any pesky UI elements. So that should be cool from a base decoration standpoint and also a utility grab and go standpoint. Also, we're seeing some more work on the newest monument, Nuclear Missile Silo. That looks like it's going to be a large underground monument. Probably will have radiation, given the nuclear part of it. So I'm guessing a higher tier underground monument. Still a work in progress, though, and these monuments built from the ground up, from scratch, take a while. So I'm not thinking we're going to see that necessarily make its way in this month, but we'll keep you posted. Also, more work on the ferry terminal, and this is I believe, part of that Nexus body of work, that server to server transfer, where the servers will be synced up and players will be able to go from one server to another via this ferry terminal. That whole project has been well over a year in process. It is a very complex and important to get right project, and so I'm not surprised they're taking their time with it, and we'll keep you posted as that gets closer and closer to production. Once again, I think based on what the devs have said, the initial launch of these are just going to be on Facepunch official servers, and then they'll roll out from there. And when they roll out from there, we will play with on Rustafied, linking maybe a US Medium 1 and US Medium 2 type of thing. Probably won't link across regions because ping, but we do have some opportunities here at Rustified to link up, say, Medium 1 and Medium 2, or maybe even Long 1, 2, and 3. That would kind of be crazy, right? Having 3 longs all linked together. We'll keep you posted, though, on that as more comes to light. Also, they got UI scaling working on computer stations, with everyone using computer stations a little more now with drones and manual turrets and the PTZ cameras. UI scaling should be working, so they got it working. Drones can also now be repaired at a repair bench. They're working on a new command for auth radius where it looks like server owners will be able to control the actual and modify the actual auth radius for cupboards. So that should be interesting. They're working on Easter, and we're going to see that early next month. I think Easter is April 9th. So maybe with the update on April 6th, we'll see just the Easter event go live for a week or two as well. If you haven't been around for a Rust Easter, you're in for a treat. There's, egg hunts and bunny ears and candy vision and a whole bunch of other, good Easter fun. There's some tweaks they're doing to staging server browsers where they're going to show the change set when a server doesn't match the client version. Most players probably aren't going to ever use that, but for testing and stuff like that, it's good stuff. They fixed the mace skinned as a baseball bat, not displaying the right price in the research table. They're doing some more gameplay metrics, and this is really cool stuff where they're aggregating some just different metrics around what players are doing and not doing in the servers. And hopefully from that, the devs can make more informed decisions around balance and what to add and what to remove from the game. So that's good to see get, more and more additions too. They're adding a safe mode for if you screw up your client config and it's causing the game to crash or screw up, you can just run safe mode.apply safe mode config convar, and that'll overwrite your client config with a known safe version. They're doing additional checks now to make sure SAM sites have a floor below them, which is a good thing for a SAM site to have. They're doing some initial work on transparent screenshots. We tested it, and although it technically did work, it did make a screenshot where the sky was transparent. It was very blurry and weird. So still very much a work in progress, but a cool thing for content creators on the horizon potentially. And then finally, the devs now have the ability to unlock all skins, and that makes sense because if they need to test a skin, I'm thinking of that what was that SAR skin where you could on the reflection like see through a
Yeah, the black gold.
thing. I feel like that was probably the point where they were like, you know what, fuck, we need to unlock all these skins so we can just test them on the fly. Instead of having to like buy it on Steam, or I don't know what they had to do, go on and gift it to themselves on Steam. But that's basically now they can unlock all skins as a developer so they can see all skins in game easier. And that really does make sense. I'm surprised that wasn't in already, to be honest. But that's what we got as far as a recap here. Misty, we got any questions from the audience?
Not really. Um, Let me see here. I think there was one. Any statistics on how networking improvement turned out, sorry.
That is still up in the air. We are not running multi-threaded networking across the board. We tested multi-threading networking out on US odd and had some lag issues. Based on what we're seeing from other server owners, especially large servers with high populations, it looks like multi-threaded networking is not ready to go yet because there are still complaints of lag and performance issues. So we got our breath held. It looked like earlier in the week potentially they were going to say multi-threaded networking is now going to be on by default for everyone, and there may still be an update this month. In fact, if some hot fixes do make their way into an update, I imagine it would be catalyzed by an update that pushed out multi-threaded networking and encryption 2 by default. But man, can that really go wrong? It's the underlying networking of the game, right? And so if there's a glitch with that, then that can have results where like no one can interact with things on the server. Everyone gets disconnected from the server. People can't join the server back. The server just lags out so bad that no one can do anything, so it is kind of a nightmare from a server owner standpoint dealing with a networking thing changing. But thankfully the devs are being very particular and careful about pushing this out. They're testing things, getting feedback, and then going back to the drawing board and iterating on it further. And that's still the process we're in from what I can see as far as multi-threaded networking is concerned. Still kind of working on getting it production ready. And I think there were some plans to maybe do that this week, but it's not there yet. And so with that, we're keeping a close eye on multi-threaded networking. The ideal situation is once multi-threaded networking comes out, it allows our server's CPU cores to use multiple cores for the networking instead of just one single core, which is what the game runs on now. And hypothetically, when all the kinks are ironed out, then that should allow for us to have much higher pops with better performance in our servers. And that's what I would love to see. I know we get a ton of complaints about, hey, up the pop, up the pop. Why don't you increase the pop? And really, what we've been holding out on is we want to prioritize performance over just shoving as many people in on wipe day as possible. And I do think that with multi-threaded networking coming out, and once it gets ironed out, we will be able to up our pops significantly. But we're not going to do that until we're sure that's the case. And with this right around the corner, we're not going to up our pops drastically now and then have to lower them potentially in a week. That's not going to make anyone happy either. So that's what's going on with multi-threaded networking. I know it's kind of a whole ball of wax, but that's what's so.
Are you ever going to make stats on your servers?
We are actually. We're in the process of building a stat system right now. And we're working towards an MVP, a minimum viable product. We actually have a stats harmony mod that we've built that's saving all the PvP data and everything and putting that into a database now. And what we're working on, we've got a nice design for the stats site, and we're working on leaderboards. We're working on individual player profiles for each player. And we want to do something really special with this over time. We want to have information that other servers don't have. We want to give you like really real granular details about all the interactions you have in our servers, and then have people on leaderboards to be able to have some friendly competition as well. So that's all in process. There's going to be just a free version for everyone to use by default. And then we're looking at maybe having some special features for our VIP as well. So that's what we're playing with. It's still very much a work in process, but I'll keep you up to date over the next couple weeks about how that's coming along. And we're hoping in the next couple months to have something that people can play with.
Someone is again asking when is wipe?
So server wipes are at regular scheduled time for each region today. So, because there's no update, there's no forced wipe. It's just when the schedule is for wipe, and that's 3 p.m. local time for the region for Rustified servers. So, Rustified servers are wiping the Thursday weekly wipe servers today. That's your mains, smalls, barons, Zen labs. And for Rustified servers, they pretty much all have wiped already except the US servers. US small, main, baron, and Zen labs will wipe in an hour and 20 minutes, give or take, at 3 p.m. Eastern.
That's about it for this time, I think.
Cool. And I do want to say also, join our Discord, rustified.com/Discord. You can vote on maps. We're improving a lot of stuff. We got a new server information panels going live with live server populations and the map and everything like that. We're doing map voting now earlier. We're going to be doing map votes 48 hours before wipe so that you have a full like 24 hours before wipe to see and plan with your team. And we've got a bunch of suggestions in there. So if you want to give us suggestions, and also you can do /report in there to report players and get support for our servers. So, and you can just go in there and say hi because it's Discord, it's a big chat room. So I do encourage you to join Discord. We've been making a ton of improvements there. And yeah, I think we're just going to wind down a little early today because
There
there's not
was
a whole.
actually one. Sorry.
Oh, let's do it.
Did they fix the satchels?
That I don't think so. That's the one thing they temporarily increased the damage of them to account for that. So that's still a work in progress. And I'm honestly not completely clear where they're at with that. But I will try to get some clarity on that this coming week because I know that's still up in the air, but I'm not, to be honest, completely clear on where they're going with that.
Then we're done.
All right, cool. Well, a huge thank you to everyone tuning in. A huge thank you to Artemis and Miss D, as always, for being my co MCs here.
You're welcome as always, Bugs.
Yep, most welcome.
And yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. A lot of people think we're developers of the game or we're on the Facepunch payroll, and neither of those are correct. We're just an independent organization who made up of fans of the game who love reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can. And really, the only way that we can keep doing this week after week and running the servers that we do is through the support of the community. So to everyone who tunes in and watches every week, thank you so much. To people who give bits and subscribe on Twitch, thank you. And to our beautiful, wonderful, loyal VIP customers, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart because really we couldn't do this every week without your support. So thank you guys. And do check out rustified.com for information. Every Thursday, we have an article that goes live first thing midnight time Eastern. That article goes up with a full summary of what's going on in development in text and picture form. We're also starting to do some more video content. We're really getting into shorts and stuff like that. Not like the pant alternative, but like the real short video thing, like TikToks and all the kids and doing that and stuff. So anyway, we're gonna do some more stuff on that. So check out our Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and all that good stuff as well. Follow us. But a huge thank you once again to everyone tuning in. We will be back next week, as always, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Eastern on Twitch to give you another update preview stream. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful wipe. This is Bugs signing off.